Hello and good afternoon to each of you. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to join PDXWIT today. Such a beautiful day today. So excited to see the sun. I am so honored that you are here with our chosen community. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so wonderful to see so many familiar faces out there. Thank you for coming back. And to any of those of you who may be new and it's your first event, by all means, we want to say thank you for attending today. And again, welcome. We are excited about our event today, excited about the topic and the subject matter. And given the time now is 12:03, we don't want to delay it. And we want to get ready to just dive right in. We are excited this evening, and we will be this afternoon rather, and we will be have this event emceed by none other than our own Isabel Rodriguez. She will be offering our facilitation today. And should any of you have any questions in the meanwhile, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via chat. We have a whole team behind the scenes that is there to answer any questions or to offer any guidance in any way that is needed. And Isabel, are you there? There she is. I will yield the programming over to you. And thank you so much, Isabel.
Thank you. And we'll get the rolling deck or the slide deck going.
I'm sorry, Isabel. I didn't quite hear.
You have the slide deck?
Yes. Bringing them up.
Okay. All right. And just so folks know in the room, we have closed captionings available, which you can find at the bottom of your Zoom screens. And all right. So thank you everybody for being here. Definitely seeing some movement in the chat. If you haven't already, go ahead and introduce yourselves to folks. Drop your LinkedIn profiles if you'd like to connect with anybody here. Share what you do. And we are going to get started, and we'll kick off with our land acknowledgement. So PDXWIT has events all over Portland and beyond, and we want to take a moment to acknowledge our Indigenous Oregonians, as well as the history and legacy of racism and settler colonialism. PDXWIT recognizes that the ongoing violence, trauma, and erasure of Indigenous communities is part of settler colonialist structures, and we're actively fighting against it. Portland is located on the stolen land and traditional village sites of the Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Chinook, Tualatin Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. We endeavor to have the statement be more than just words. The tech industry is building the future of our world, and it's up to us to ensure that it is a future for all. To find out more about how we're supporting Indigenous communities, please visit the link posted in the chat. It'll be pdxwit.org/land-acknowledgements. And with that, again, thank you for being here today. I'm grateful for the support of Lytics, who's sponsoring this event this afternoon, as well as to the PDXWIT staff and volunteers who are working behind the scenes to help make this happen. I am your MC, Isabel Rodriguez. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the Research Analytics and Communications Manager here at PDXWIT. And so for those of you who may not know, this may be your first PDXWIT event. PDXWIT mission is to build a better tech industry by creating access, dismantling inequities, and fueling belonging. Events like this are one way that we advance our mission, and you can learn more about our work and how to get involved, as well as how to support us by visiting pdxwit.org. And that link should be coming in the chat for you as well. All right, so for today's agenda, we are in our welcoming introduction stage. We will soon pass the mic to our host sponsor, Lytix. Following that, we will go into our lightning speaker section. That will be followed by our recruiter roll call, and then we'll have a chance to network with one another in the community, and our event will end promptly at 1 p.m. So for our upcoming events on August 9th, we have a volunteer appreciation event in person hosted at Fresh Consulting. Hope to see you there. And then on the 24th is our August happy hour, which will be a very exciting pool party themed summer soiree and game night. And that'll be hosted at Autodesk, also in person. So you can use the QR code or visit pdxwit.org/upcoming events in order to register. All right. And, you know, in addition to attending events, we'd love for you to get involved if you have the time and passion to do so. We are always looking for volunteers, so you can join our volunteer corps. You can become a mentor to support other folks who are trying to either get into tech or advance their careers. And following the end of this event, you will get a post-event survey that'll automatically pop up in your screen. Filling out these kinds of surveys help us to make these events better for all of you. So highly encourage you to do so. All right, so now I'm going to turn the mic over to our host spotlight, Catherine Grunefelt, SVP Engineering at Lytix.
All right, well, I'm excited to be talking to everyone. I'm a huge fan of PDXWIT. Prior to Lytix, I worked at Simple Finance and was involved in helping us have Simple sponsor some PDXWIT events over the years, and excited to be here today for Lytix. So if you want to move to the next slide, I've just got a lot of folks may not know Lytix. I wanted to just talk about a little bit of who we are. So we're founded in Portland in 2012, been around a while. We've got about 75 employees across the US and UK. And on the next slide, I'll talk about some large multinational corporations and brands that we support. But really want to emphasize that I'm just super excited to be part of PDXWIT. I took we need mentors to heart earlier this year, and I've been working as a mentor for a couple great folks at PDXWIT. So love this organization. For Lytix, though, what do? We're a customer data platform, and what that does is we help marketers build customized campaigns and one-to-one marketing experiences. And so what we really focus is on behavioral data. You know, what you're looking at, we try and customize the experience. We've been a data science first company, you know, since we were founded, and you know, a lot of what we do in terms of recommendations and such has been, you know, part of our core product for a while. Just also wanted to say, you know, we are also now utilizing some of the new Gen AI capabilities, and so we've had challenges with how do we help marketers who, you know, may need to get data out of a warehouse and don't know SQL. So we've done some great stuff with Gen AI capabilities to say you can just describe what you'd like to pull from the database, and from there, you know, we're using the Gen AI features from Google to actually write SQL. Similarly, you know, there's been challenges of mapping data into our schema, and again, we're just really taking advantage of what's available. So folks that who are here as developers, you may be using like GitHub Copilot, and that's really the way we're looking at the capabilities, and we're providing a Copilot for our marketers. So if you want to learn more about Lytix, there's our website, www.lytix.com. So next slide is I just want to talk about, we're a small, mighty company. We have some big brands. I think most of you are going to recognize, P&G and Kraft Heinz, Whirlpool. TD Bank is, it's headquartered in Canada, and proud to be supporting them. Live Nation, Ticketmaster, everyone I'm sure has heard of them. Nestle Purina. With somewhat like Purina, what we've also helped is people who during the pandemic wanted to find a pet. So a lot of what we've done in terms of supporting our customers has been cool things like finding pets and what kind of pet food and vets you might need. So we've got consumer brands, we've got entertainment, and we have Time in the Atlantic, major media companies. And down in the corner, folks maybe not recognize Manchester United. We've got a great club in UK that we're also one of our customers. So with that, just wanted to say welcome to this event. And Catherine Park and I are going to be in a breakout room later if anyone would like to learn more about athletics. That back to next.
Thank you, Catherine. And I love that you are a PDXWIT mentor. So thank you for being part of our community in more ways than one. And as Catherine said, Lytics will have a breakout room and you can connect with them if you have any questions about the company following the presentation. With that, super excited to bring you our lightning speakers. We are going to kick things off with Joan Mukogosi. Joan is a research analyst at Data and Society Research Institute. So Joan, take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really also pumped to be able to share this lightning talk with you all. As Isabel said, I'm a research analyst at Data and Society. I am, to describe myself, I am a light-skinned, femme-presenting Black person. Today, I'm rocking an afro and a pink sweater. So I'm so excited for this opportunity to speak about data and algorithmic justice through the lens of my experience studying activism in data science. So to begin, I want to ground us in a chant that is often heard in Black Lives Matter protests across the country, and also across the globe. And that is no justice, no peace. So when I think about how data science and justice intersect, I think about this chant. And the chant no justice, no peace has a very rich history in protests against police violence, against anti-Black violence. And it reflects both sort of like a conditional promise as well as a cause and effect. At one time, it's saying, it means that if there is no justice, then there will be no peace. And it is also a statement about the present, that there is no peace because there is no justice. So what does this have to do with data science? So data science, algorithmic justice is the equitable and accountable construction and use of AI systems. And you'll hear more about this from Hector later. And algorithmic justice cannot be achieved without the work of data scientists who play a really vital role in challenging an unjust status quo. And so I know one of these questions was in the chat as an icebreaker, but I would love to hear, to see some of your responses to both of these questions in the chat, while I also endeavor to answer them a bit myself today. So I'm going to talk through some examples of data scientists engaging in activism and disrupting an unjust peace in favor of a just algorithmic future. All right, next slide, please. So my research has identified 3 key ways that data scientists engage in activism and sort of disrupt the peace and work towards justice. Much like a collage, I think these efforts may seem dispersed and disconnected from the outset, but when viewed through the lens of data activism, I think that a fuller picture of the power that data science as a technical practice can have when it's merged with activism as a social practice. And so these three techniques are refusal, reform, and reimagine. And so I will go into greater detail in later slides, but the refusal is refusing to participate in projects that are unjust or harmful, which takes a lot of courage as a data scientist looking for a job or who has a job. Another way to approach this is to reform existing practice by incorporating, I say just decision-making, but as well as activism into the application of data science. And lastly, reimagining data science is another strategy to sort of merge these worlds. And by blending activism into data science projects, I think really amazing and transformative things can happen. All right, so I'm going to go through some examples in the next few slides. Next slide, please. So first here I have the example of refusal. And so I don't know if folks sort of heard about this at the time, but in 2019, there was a sort of United States-wide protest against working for Palantir, which is a software company that had essentially surveillance partnerships with the United States government. And these students across the country engaged in a very radical action that required a lot of courage, conviction, and solidarity. And by using their collective power to withhold their labor, to withhold their expertise, they offer a really clear vision of how refusal can usher in change. All right, next slide. So this is a different example, and I think it's really important to note that in the US context, we have labor laws and democratic processes and social norms that allow for the act of refusal to be, not in all cases, but in some cases, a protected practice. But that is not the case everywhere, especially, certainly in this country, depending on your status, but is not the case around the world. And so I have this example from Kenya, where content moderators are unionizing or attempting to unionize to fight for greater dignity, higher pay, and overall better work conditions. And again, to provide some background on this, I don't know if it's a well-known fact, but a lot of the content moderating work for big tech companies like ChatGPT and Meta are outsourced to Africa, to English-speaking African countries. And in Kenya, workers who have faced emotional distress, extremely low wages, and are doing this very obscured work, have banded together to unionize and fight for their rights. And although they are facing challenges, legal challenges, and very strong legal teams on behalf of these big tech companies, these attempts, again, are a sign that reform, changing, I guess, essentially, if you have to keep a job, how can you change it for the better? And so these threads of collective labor, I think, are really important when thinking about the blending of data science and activism, excuse me. All right, last slide. Trying to go as quickly as possible. It's a lightning talk, so I'm like trying to channel the lightning. All right, so the last sort of key way to sort of engage in this data activism is by reimagining what both data science and activism can be as two seemingly separate disciplines, but more importantly, what they are when they merge together. And so I'm really happy to talk about this program at the St. Francis Neighborhood Center in West Baltimore. They are training community members to essentially become data scientists and sort of help them empower their community to gain knowledge and control over data that's collected about them. I think what's really important here is that they're shifting the lens of expertise for this project. And rather than sourcing traditional knowledge, they are sort of offering that knowledge to people who have their own knowledge about their community and what matters to them. So that's all I have. I think that's my last slide. And I just want to say thank you so much. I'm really happy to be able to talk about this, albeit very quickly. And I hope some of these questions sort of open up the idea that data science as a discipline is more expansive than we even imagine. So with that, I guess we can go to the last slide. Just my email and how to contact me, my Twitter as well, if you want to find me on there. But thank you so much. I really appreciated this opportunity to share this stuff with you all, and I can't wait to answer any questions that come up later.
Thank you so much, Joan. I have to say, I do love that Twitter handle. But I really do like, this way that we can try to reframe our thinking around, and I think even greater than data scientists, I think technologists at large. But I also really love the idea of data stewardship, and it brings up, how can even community organizations play a role in supporting technologists in that way, and giving them those skills, and as well as to folks in the community who maybe don't traditionally have, those data skills. I think also is going to blend really seamlessly into our next lightning speaker. Next up, we have Hector Dominguez. Hector is the Open Data, Privacy, and Surveillance Technologies Coordinator for the City of Portland. And so, Hector, turning it over to you.
Thank you, Isabel, and thank you so much for hosting this event. Yeah, my name is Hector Dominguez. I go by he, him pronouns. Please, next. We don't have much time, and there is so much to share. Yeah, I'll be talking about the privacy, surveillance technologies, and a little bit of the work that we are doing on AI in about 5 minutes or so. Next, please. Next. There's a lot of, so, well, we need to understand that privacy and the work that we are doing here at the city, I'm part of the Smart Cities program, and we have been doing a lot of public policy. We try to do it through participatory methods. Sometimes, just as Joan expresses, it's hard because there are so many historic harms that are very, very alive, and there's so much like power disparities between government and communities in general. There is so much interest across from big companies, local business networks, small businesses, individuals. So there is such a broad spectrum of interest. And however, we need to try to develop public policy that works for everybody. That's a challenge. So we go through the basics, the fundamentals. So that's the strategy that we are taking right now. And the fundamentals are human rights. Privacy is a human right. Privacy is part of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and is actually a requirement for everybody to have self-determination, to have the real freedom. Without privacy, everything is exposed, and so many things can happen. Next, please. So through those efforts, we have been working around and still developing this idea of digital justice. So far, this is like a very broad definition that we are using. Digital justice is the equitable treatment of all people in technology and information, regardless of race, abilities, gender, age, personal circumstances, or social context. Next, please. Social justice is actually a borrowed term from, we started borrowing from activists, mostly from Detroit and Oakland. For many years, they have been working on this idea of social justice. On the other hand, so we have digital rights. So we are part of this coalition of cities for digital rights. The coalition has endorsed these 5 rights. Being open and ethical, privacy, data protection, security, digital transparency and accountability, universal and equal access to internet and digital literacy, and participatory democracy, diversity, and inclusion. So these are kind of our basics for what we are doing. Next, please. Next, please. So when we talk about surveillance technologies, so smart cities, right? Sometimes we may think about, is that smart or really surveillance? We are collecting so much information from everything at once, and we are trying to process that and mine that information. Yeah, so there is a lot of trust that we need to develop and nurture and sustain in order to be able to use technology. And we think about traditional surveillance technologies. And now we need to think about emerging artificial intelligence tools, which is quite broad as well. Anyway, so within our definition of the policy, everything in policy and legal terms is about definition. So basically, surveillance technology is the whatever is tracking activities and information from individuals or groups. And that information can be used for like influencing, managing, or providing certain direction of providing intelligence also around what's happening in general, in the city in our case. Next, please. Yeah, historically, the use of surveillance technologies is leading to the hypervisibility, particularly of Black communities. You know, that comes from slavery. There are some like authors like Simone Brown, who is making the connections between the transatlantic slave trade and contemporary surveillance technologies. We can refer to the New York City's lantern laws, where every Black male individual older than 13 years old at night, they needed to have a lantern so everyone knew where they were moving. Free enslaved people, they were also forced to be reporting, and so in order to enable how and control their movements and how they are evolving. So yeah, next please. And on the other hand, one hand we have the hypervisibility, and the other hand we have the surveillance gap or the invisibility. So those individuals and groups that are not, we don't know anything about them. The system is not gathering the information, and those can actually include undocumented immigrants, day laborers, homeless persons, and people with felony convictions history suffering of collateral consequences of those convictions. So there is a balance, and we need to do that responsibly, right? Next. Harms for surveillance technologies could come in so many different ways, tracking like activists, influencing through connected devices or social media, making decisions around who gets a credit for buying a house, who gets into a school, who gets a job position, you know, like monitoring immigrants and people's movements in general. So yeah, there is a lot there. Next, please. So now back into what we are doing in the city. So we are working the Smart City PDX program. We are working with the Office of Equity and Human Rights, another, but particularly Office of Equity and Human Rights around these developing policies and procedures and implementing all this public engagement. Recognizing, well, the city had these core values of being anti-racist. We are also exploring, and you can participate in all this discussion, right? What does an anti-racist technology means for you? And it means a lot, right? So that's what we are doing right now. Next, please. So we develop our privacy and information protection principles. There are 7 there. That was in 2019. That included automated decision systems like AI, and also data utility, which is data minimization, and that everything that we collect needs to bring values, not only to the city, but also the communities that we serve. Next, please. So we are currently now implementing officially privacy impact assessments on new surveillance technologies. The privacy impact assessment provides a view of what are the impacts in different categories, equity, community, financial, reputation, etc. We have 6 categories there. And in the case of surveillance technologies, now is something that we need to do as a city. We passed a policy in February. Next, please. That policy is telling us to implement privacy impact assessments for new surveillance technologies, also explore creating a citywide inventory of surveillance technologies, which is something that we are doing right now. Then in the fall, we are going to be working on exploring accountability, oversight, and effective public involvement. What does that mean? We are internally working on the designing a privacy program, and then looking into automated decision systems, including AI. And with that, so I'm going to stop. Next, please. You can see my contact information there, hector.dominguez@portlandoregon.gov. So you can reach out to me or visit smartcitypdx.com, where you can actually find more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. Yeah, and I think events like this really bringing technologists together with, folks who work in the government to folks who work, civil society and the public at large, to really be having this ability to crosstalk and really learn from each other and really together help make, technology better for everyone. And I think that's really important. So thank you again, both to Hector and to Joan. They will both be around in the networking portion of the event if you had any questions or wanted to dive into any more of into detail of each of their talks. And so with that, I'm going to move us into the recruiter roll call portion of today's event. I believe first up will be Vapperhauen. I could get that slide. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Charlie, if you're here, I'll give you 30 seconds.
I'm here. Yeah. Thanks for having me here. Happy to be here. I'm a technical recruiter for Vanderhauen. And for those who don't know who Vanderhauen is, we are a women-owned, locally based staffing firm, and have been here for decades now. And I've been, I guess, fortunate enough to been here for 10 of those years. But I'm happy to promote and advertise that we do have multiple tech jobs open, over 100 actually. Development, BI, database, product management, product design, and even some kind of creative marketing that are somewhat tech adjacent jobs as well. There's more, but I'll be in the breakout room and happy to help advocate for people and get them the visibility that they deserve later.
Thanks, Charlie. And next up, we have Catherine from Lytics.
Hey there, Catherine Park here. So we don't currently have any positions open, but the other Catherine and I, our SVP of engineering who spoke earlier, we're happy to speak with anybody who's interested in learning more about what we do and making those connections. So looking forward to speaking with you.